I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people out there who have questions about this movie after they watch it, most of whom will be people who read the books. Hey everyone, it's me, Aaron.
And I'm Michelle.
And this is our post-Geekout reaction for Stephen King's The Dark Tower. And for everybody out there who has not seen a post-Geekout reaction before, it is not a review. I do have a review of this coming up this weekend. And the reviews, I sit down, think of everything that I want to say, write it all out, give it a score at the end, and there are no spoilers. The post-Geekout reaction is full of spoilers because it is just our open, honest discussion about the thing that we just watched. I love that I say this every single week, and yet I forgot the next line in that spiel for like 2 minutes. They're just buffering. So yeah, basically this is just our discussion about the thing that we just watched. So that does mean we will be going into spoilers. So if you do not want to hear any of the spoilers for The Dark Tower, tune out now, wait for that review, and then come back to this video after you have seen the movie. Y'all good? Cool. So I mentioned a lot of people are going to have questions about this thing if they have seen the film, and I was kind of joking about that because I'm sorry, if you have read the book. And I was kind of joking about that because I have not read the books myself. From what I understand, they are very large.
So The Dark Tower is actually like a series of books?
It's a trilogy. No, it's not a trilogy. It is a many books. Many. And each of them, from what I understand, are several hundred pages long.
Wow.
And I bring this up because after the movie was over with, when the credits were rolling, like when the lights started to come up, many people just got up and left. But then I noticed there were like 20 to 30 people right in the center of the theater. Like right in that middle section there, that perfect like, oh, center aisle, center everything. Just like 20 to 30 people there, and none of them were budging. I was like, that's so weird that that many people are deciding to sit through the credits. And then I noticed all of them are talking to each other, and then I realized, this is a book club. This is a group of people who love the Dark Tower series, and this is like when the Avengers come out and there's like one of those midnight screens where it's nothing but just people who love Avengers all going in there, and it's all just a big group that come in. This is that for Dark Tower. It's just a massive group of diehard Dark Tower fans, and they came to this, and they could not have been more pissed. Like, they were just doing nothing but going, they didn't even bring up this thing! And what about this? This didn't make any sense at all! Why they didn't mention this thing, and that happened in this book! Why is it happening in this part? And why did they do this there at the end? So I'm going to go ahead and let you guys know. I have not read the Dark Tower trilogy, or quadrilogy, or fifth trilogy, or however many there are into it. I have not read any of the Dark Tower books. However, just based on that select group that I studied there of people who had read the Dark Tower books, they weren't happy. They were not happy at all. So if anybody out there wants to know whether or not Dark Tower fans will be pleased with this, probably not. I will say that there was one woman though, every single time that Idris Elba did something really cool in there, or anytime that he shot someone, she just screamed out, "Woo!" But I think she was just an Idris Elba fan. I don't think that she was actually a fan of the books. And that's one thing that I will go ahead and say right now. I love Idris Elba. Idris Elba, I think, is a great actor. He's one of those actors who I'm like, making the next James Bond, making the next this thing, making the next that thing, making the next everything. I want to see Idris Elba in everything. Don't make him the gunslinger. And I will say that not because I'm like, oh, well, it doesn't match up with the book. I'm saying that because, ooh, he is flat in this. Ooh, I don't know what direction he was getting, but he is flat in this. And I don't know what accent he was trying to do in this thing.
Like, I guess they're trying to go for, like, the stoic, like, tough, silent guy.
I think so, but I've seen him play that, and he's played it well. And I've also seen him do an American accent, and he's been okay with that. Like, was he doing an American accent in Pacific Rim? I can't remember. It was one of those just, like, generic, like, shouting accents where it's like, I guess it could be really just kind of anything. No, I think he was still British. He was still British in that. Okay, never mind then. So, okay, maybe I haven't seen him do an American accent now that I think about it. So either he can't do an American accent, or he can't do an American Southern accent, because there'd be a lot of words he would get right in here, but then there would be some that it sounded like he was trying to put a slur on there, like that Southern slur, and it just sounded like his mouth got into a car wreck. Just like, like it sounded like he ripped off his lips put them on a staircase and knock them down. Just blah, 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 blah. That's what his southern accent was. Like every time that you could tell he was trying to slur a specific word to give it like a little bit of twang in there. It was just like it just like I was with you 90% of that sentence, but there at the end it just fell apart, brother. I don't know what you're doing here. So yeah, but at the same time, no one is good in this thing. Like I am not like pointing fingers at him specifically. It's like, oh, you ruined it. No, man, everybody just stinks in this film. Basically, what you have to understand about this movie, before I can like describe every single person in here, you gotta know what's going on. And as you guys can probably tell from the way that I'm directing this mostly at Michelle, this is another one of those films that I saw, she did not.
Yeah.
I don't think you have any interest in seeing it.
Well, the trailers made it look cool, but obviously that's big misleading.
Honestly, I looked at the trailers and was like, this is that thing that everybody loves? I guess it looks okay.
No, it's like I never even knew the Dark Tower was like a series or anything.
Okay, maybe that's why I was going to do, because like this is a beloved like series of books. Like it has a huge fan base, and I've always kind of been interested in getting into it because I like Stephen King. I haven't read a lot of Stephen King, but everything I've read from him I like, and even the stuff I haven't read from him, I've seen the movies based on it, and I've really dug the movies. So I do kind of dig his like crazy mind. And it turns out the Stephen King books all exist in a shared universe. Like back before Marvel was doing this stuff with their movies, Stephen King was doing it with his books. Like Pet Sematary, The Shining, It, Misery, everything that he writes exists in the same universe, which is weird. I don't know how that quite works because in The Stand, the world ends. So I don't get that. But the way that the Dark Tower ties into it is that the Dark Tower is supposed to be like this spot in like the center of the multiverse. There's like this world in the center of the multiverse, and in that center there's a giant tower that goes up above the clouds. And I will admit, the visuals of the tower in this are pretty damn cool. Like when they actually showed the tower going through the clouds, like that's actually kind of awesome looking. Nothing else in here really matches that, but the tower itself they got right. I'll give them that. But the tower basically protects the entire multiverse from the stuff outside the multiverse getting in. And everything outside the multiverse is demons, monsters, all this crazy shit. So it's basically kind of implied that every single time that something mysterious goes on in a Stephen King book, like some kind of supernatural thing pops up, it's kind of like, oh, someone messed with the tower a little bit, and a little bit of that darkness got inside. Yeah. There were only two, like they say that in the Dark Tower series of books, eventually they will reference every Stephen King book. But in this film, there were two moments that I was able to pick out pretty easily. Like the first one is this kid is walking around with Idris Elba, who's playing the Gunslinger, and they stumble upon this old amusement park. And he asked him, he was like, so you had amusement parks here? He's like, nobody knows what these are. These existed before history was written. And the kid just goes, it's an amusement park. But there's a moment where you see the name of the amusement park, and the first, like, 3 letters of it are cut off, but the remaining letters are N-Y-W-S-W-I-S-E. It's Pennywise.
Yeah.
So it's like,
yep.
Pennywise is a demon clown from this dimension. Okay, got it. And then like this kid has psychic powers, and the villain is trying to snatch up any kid with psychic powers. And there's a moment that the kid meets an oracle and he goes, "My goodness, your shine is so strong." And I was like, Shining, got it, because the kid in The Shining had psychic powers. That actually kind of makes The Shining a better book because I like The Shining, but one of my problems was that one of my problems always with The Shining was it was just, this is a really cool ghost story. Why the hell does this kid just have psychic powers out of nowhere? This is just weird. And also, like, this, like, the old guy in there's like, it's called The Shining. And I was like, who told you that name? I was like, oh, shoot. They're all tied into, okay, it's the people from the other dimension gave him this name. Okay, well, that gives an interesting backstory to Scatman Crothers' character. I forget his name in the actual book, but he was played by Scatman Crothers. By the way, for anybody who has never read The Shining, but you've only watched The Shining, still read The Shining. It is totally different than the movie. The movie's still awesome, but it was just like, I was reading that book, and I got like halfway through, and I was like, well, this didn't happen. This didn't happen. Oh, I know what's going to happen here. that so did not happen. Yeah, it kind of makes me look at some of the stuff in the Shining film like, what the fuck did you do that for? Specifically with Scatman Crothers. Anyway, I'm getting off on a rant here about other Stephen King stuff. We'll save that for October.
So, like, why does, like, the bad guy want kids with psychic powers?
Good. I totally forgot that I did not mention this. I'm glad you brought that up. Basically, he's trying to gather up kids with psychic powers because this movie starts by just saying, a child's mind will be what brings the tower down. Like some old, like, passes, like it's always been passed down. He is collecting up kids with psychic powers, and then he is just loading them into a machine that, like, scans their brains, and then it basically, their brains power up this machine that then fires a laser beam at the tower.
Oh.
And he keeps trying to destroy the tower that way. Interesting. It's really weird. It's really kind of like, oh, okay. I didn't think you were going to take it that literally. Like, I thought it was going to be, like, an idea of a child would do it, or, like...
I thought it was, like, just going to, like, kill, like, the psychic kids, because it's like, oh, they're going to use their psychic powers to stop me or something.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, we got to take out all the threats or something. It's like, no, they're literally Duracell batteries for his giant gun that he's pointing at the tower. It's... Again, I don't mean to insult anybody who loves the books if this is what's done in the books, but I'm sure it's done better in the books because it looks so weird in this. It's like, okay, cool, fine. But basically, this thing stars this little kid, and he is one of the most powerful psychics ever, and he keeps having these visions, and basically he's been drawing all these pictures of the Man in Black, who's basically Matthew McConaughey's character. He's the villain. The Man in Black, he keeps drawing, like, the tower, he keeps drawing, like, the little space where they have the giant ray gun that fires out, he keeps drawing the gunslinger, he draws everything that you're gonna see in this movie. And everybody's like, oh, he's crazy, he's having all these visions. And there's this really weird thing where, like, he goes to a psychiatrist, and the psychiatrist wants to talk to him about these visions that he's having, and the kid goes, I know I'm not crazy. I know they're not dreams. And I'm like, if you were having the same dreams over and over again, that's not crazy. You can have the same dreams over and over again. It just, like, immediately, that's one of the first things in this film that cracked me up, when he just goes, I'm not crazy because they're not dreams. I was like, if they were dreams, then you wouldn't be crazy. The fact that you think they're real, that's what draws your sanity into question. I don't think, nothing bugs me more in a film than when someone, even if they're right, even if they're, which it's a movie, of course they're going to turn out to be right, but even when they're right about something really weird, when they don't seem to understand, other people are going to think this is weird as shit. Like, it's like, whenever somebody's like, I'm not crazy, I know that this cat is really talking to me, it's like, hold that shit to yourself. Like, Google, do cats talk, like, shit like that. Do something that, like, don't go around just telling people shit like that. Like, one of my favorite examples is when we saw that first Ninja Turtles film, the first Michael Bay one, and, like, April O'Neil basically goes, I know I'm not crazy. They're 7-foot-tall Ninja Turtles and they love pizza. And I went, so you just don't want to be a journalist at all. You're saying this to your boss. All right, whatever, fine. Again, I'm getting way off topic here. So basically, he's having all these visions, and there are these weird earthquakes that keep happening all over the planet. Like, they are just massive earthquakes happening everywhere. Like, he's in New York, and he's getting hit by 5.7 earthquakes, which doesn't happen in New York. Knock on wood. I ain't risking that. But it's like, on the news they're saying it's happening, like, at the same time all over the planet. And people are going up to him and, like, teasing him about having visions of the apocalypse. And I was like, motherfucker, there are earthquakes happening all over the planet in unison in places that there are not supposed to be earthquakes. Maybe don't give the kids shit for thinking that the apocalypse is coming. It's like, I would have done that when I was a kid, and I don't even have crazy visions. So yeah, it was one of those things where it's like, this is really just stereotypical.
Say, how do you know the psychic kid isn't causing the earthquakes because you keep pissing him off?
Dude, if there were earthquakes happening on the planet like they happen in this film, I'd be going up to the crazy psychic kids with the vision of the apocalypse going like, so you got any, like, clues on, like, when this might be going down? Like, have you seen anything about this? But yeah, and that's the first problem with this kid. This kid has zero personality other than I'm the guy who has visions. Like, he is not a character, he's a plot device.
Yeah.
He's the MacGuffin. He's the thing that the villain wants, he's the thing that the hero has to protect. He has no personality or character at all beyond just that.
So, like, none of the main characters have any personalities? You mentioned, like, the gunslinger's
No.
flat, but...
Well, yeah, but he's trying to be like the stoic badass. He's
Yeah.
trying to be the tough guy. But it comes off kind of flat. But that doesn't mean that he doesn't, like, have something there. This kid has nothing other than, I had these visions. I had to come and find you. What's that thing over there? Explain more information to me. Explain more information to the audience. I mean, me. Yeah, the kid is just a plot device. And the man in black, again, he's flat, but he's flat in that, like, sinister, evil way. Like, oh, yes, I don't have any emotions about anything. Matthew McConaughey does not have a southern accent in this, by the way, but it's hard for me to do a Matthew McConaughey impersonation without doing the southern accent. I'm just going to try and bring down the tower. All right. You got any psychic kids on you? No, you'd be a lot cooler if you did. That's what I love about psychic kids. I get older. No, I ain't finishing that one. I ain't finishing that. I just realized how bad that was about to get. No, never mind. Take that one down. Pause for edit. But God damn you, Matthew McConaughey. And that's one of the things that really sucks about this film is that Matthew McConaughey could be amazing in this. Idris Elba could be amazing in this. They're both really freaking flat in this. And it's like, man, do you know how hard you have to work to make Idris Elba and Matthew McConaughey flat? I could see you fucking up one of them in a film.
So you think it's just, like, bad directing?
Oh, I didn't know any of this shit until earlier today. But apparently, like, I have a huge movie buff coworker, and we talk about movies all the time, and he was talking to me about this, and he goes, yeah, did you hear about the behind-the-scenes stuff? The director, the producer, and Stephen King himself, all in the contract were given veto power. So anytime they didn't like something, all they had to do was veto it. It was gone. No discussion or anything. Like, you can't have 3 people doing that. Especially Stephen King. Stephen King is notorious for going to his movies and going, I don't like any of this shit. Take any of this stuff down. Like I said, The Shining is an amazing film. He hates that film because it doesn't match the book. And he went back and made his own movie version of it. That movie version is garbage. It sucks. And the sad thing is, yeah, it's very accurate to the movie. It is very accurate to the book. The stuff that happens in that movie is what happens in the book. And a lot of stuff, even when I was reading it in the book, even though I dug a lot of stuff in that book that they did differently, there were some things in there which I was like, this is lame. This sucks. And yeah, he put it in that film. So yeah, you cannot give Stephen King veto power on one of his movies. So yeah, that's really what it was. But also, the Dark Tower series, it's spread out over multiple books.
Yeah.
And every single one of those books are like hundreds and hundreds of pages.
Yeah, like when you told me like this wasn't just one book, this was like a series of books, I'm like, oh, they're gonna mess up the movie by trying to like smoosh in as much information as possible.
Ding, 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 ding. And because as soon as I got out of the theater, I had to go on Twitter and I had to ask people, okay, anybody who has read the book, do they go to Earth in this series? And does he have a kid that he's training? And everybody responded, yes, they do both those things, but not in the first book. And I went, yeah, well, they're in the first movie. Yeah, and that's really what the big problem is. I had to check the time there for a second.
That's like putting like Harry Potter in like one
Voldemort
movie.
pops up at the end of the very first one. It's like, Harry. And I have the Phoenix Feather too. And he's just like, I haven't even been told I'm going to wizard school yet. Congratulations, Harry. You're a blam sword through it. I'm Voldemort, motherfucker. Yeah, man, it really is kind of like that. And this is made by Sony. And I kept thinking, like, dude, how on earth could somebody fuck up like a beloved franchise that you could get like multiple films out of this thing? Oh, the same people who fucked up Spider-Man many times over.
Sony, what the fuck is wrong with you? You made the Emoji Movie.
I think Sony stopped giving a shit.
I think so.
I think Sony, after they got hacked last year by Korea, I think that That is what happened, right? North Korea hacked them? Yeah.
I think
That's
so.
what I didn't follow it because
Yeah.
I was just more followed what got hacked. After all their secrets came out and everybody looked at their plans of like, you're making an Aunt May spy film, and like they looked at all the stuff that Kevin Feige wanted to do with Ghostbusters originally, and like everybody looked at all that stuff, and afterwards they just went, we just don't give. People are just gonna hate on our ideas no matter what. We don't give a shit. Like, yeah, we're gonna hate on them if they're bad ideas, you idiots. Like, Jesus Christ. Because yeah, the production value on this, it just ain't there. Because yes, this story, it's set over the course of so many books, and you could have gotten so much out of this. And they just skip right into like future books and don't even really explain shit about the previous, like the stuff that you need to know. Like, this film opens up with this kid just drawing all these crazy images, and I was just like, fuck this kid, go to that! That looks so much more interesting. And the reason why I had to ask people on Twitter, do they actually go to Earth in the books, is because this strikes me so much as one of those movies that's based on a property that exists in some big mythical fantasy land, and the moment it gets turned into a film, the producers come in and go, I know what would be interesting. Let's take the characters out of that mythical fantasy land and drop them into Earth. Like, they He-Man this motherfucker. Like, I know there are more up-to-date references, but that's the first one that I remember doing it, where it was like, oh man, He-Man and Eternia and the Masters of the Universe and Castle Grayskull and all this amazing stuff that exists in this huge fantasy land. What'd they do with the He-Man movie? Pick his ass up, drop him in Earth, give him like a little buddy in high school, and it's like, yeah, that's what everybody wants to see there.
I think the Smurfs movie would have been a better thing, because like that's literally what they did in the first movie.
That's, yeah, the Smurfs movies is to me the most modern example of it. And by the way, I don't know who got the rights to the Sonic movie, but I'm gonna guess it's Sony as well, because they said that with the Sonic the Hedgehog movie, it's gonna be, he gets picked up out of his land and dropped into Earth. It's like, no one wants that.
No one
fucking ever. No one has ever gone, wow, this hero is so cool, and his land is so fantastic. Let's lose the land, and then let's spend an entire film of him walking around going, what's this thing over? Oh my god, why is this magical device ringing? Hello? Oh, there's a voice on the, hello, tiny person in box? I will get you out of this box, tiny. No one has ever wanted to see their hero doing that.
No.
Fucking ever. And I will say this. Idris Elba is way better than any other hero I've ever... I should stop calling him Idris Elba. The Gunslinger is way better about that shit than anyone else in any of those other examples I can give you, but it's still kind of that. It's still kind of him, like, you've got this giant, like, this is the land where every Stephen King idea exists. That's a fucking phenomenal place to set a film, and then you just pick his ass up and drop him off in New York City, and it's just him walking around, like, granted, it's not him, like, being, like, confused by everything, but it's like, you know, they take him to a hospital, and he's just like, and then they're like, well, you have to stay here overnight. No, that's not happening. He gives him some money. Here's something for your trouble. And then he walks out of there and it's like, okay, that's kind of a good gag, but it's like that stuff all over. Like, then he's on a bus and two women are hating on him and he goes, you have both forgotten the faces of your father. And then he walks away and he's like, are we supposed to be fighting like demons and shit? Like, this is really a boring ass place to take this first movie. Like, again, people have told me they do eventually go to Earth, but it's like, man, not in the first film. Like, give me the big mythical fantasy land first. Like, give me that weird, crazy world that he exists in. That sounds so much cooler. But also, like, so, A, you can tell it's a studio coming in here and goes like, well, nobody wants to sit through all this stuff. Let's just cram all the stuff from the later books into one thing. And let's not even focus that much on the mythical land. Let's focus more on Earth, because like that's what studios always think is cool.
No,
Probably
I feel
'cause
like
cheaper.
I feel like it's because people won't understand this bizarre world full of fantasy. They need a place that's relatable.
I think that's honestly part of it too. I think that is a huge part of it. But the thing is, like, every example I can bring up of them doing this is like, no, they get like Smurfs is the most modern example. It's like, the Smurfs, they just live in fucking mushrooms. That's the most. Then there's a wizard guy.
Yes. What's so hard to explain? What's so hard to understand about that?
Literally, the Troll movie came in like a year later and did the exact thing that the Smurfs were supposed to do, and no one complained about that shit. So yeah, it's whatever. Oh god, I'm really just thinking about that Sonic the Hedgehog film and how badly it's gonna suck. But yeah, but that's the thing is like every time that someone brings up the idea of like, oh, well, it'll be too much for people to understand, I always just want to go, yeah, you remember what my favorite part of Lord of the Rings was? When Frodo takes the One Ring to Detroit and he has to walk around, and then it was Samwise Gamgee trying to find his friend in this modern suburbia. I was like, oh, I don't know this land. And then Samwise Gamgee got like a big old jacket and baggy pants on and backwards hat. And it was like, what up, fellow travelers? By the way, if anybody ever wants to do a Professor Thorgy animated bit, I nominate everything I just said there as the thing you do. I'm never one of those guys who is like, I want my fans to do this thing for me, but it's like, if anybody out there ever wants to do that, I just want to see that. I want to see the thing I just said animated. But anyway, as I was saying, yeah, it's like, that's the thing that was bugging me. Because even if this stuff happened in the books, this so just strikes as like a producer coming in going, get him out of that mythical fantasy land. Get him the fudge out of there, now. And even when they're in the mythical fantasy land, it really mostly just kind of looks like Earth. Like, yeah,
like from what I saw in the trailer, it's like, wow, it's a whole bunch of desert and like rundown.
Yeah, like you don't really see any cool. Like, you don't really see any cool stuff while he's in there.
And like you mentioned that this is where like all of Stephen King's like horrible nightmares or live and everything. It's like, really, this seems pretty empty. Where are all the monsters and stuff? Like.
Again, not to go back to the same city, because I know they go through enough trouble, but it's like, the Detroit film comes out this weekend, too, in theaters. That land is full of more nightmares than what we saw in this. But the other thing that really shows to me how badly the production was on this, and how much it was just Sony coming in here and fiddling around and going, we know what's best, is that, as I said, this is based on many books that are many pages long. This movie's 90 minutes long.
Wow.
That is short.
It is.
That is really damn. The Emoji Movie was the same length of time as this, and they had no story to that. They are literally basing an entire film off of a smiley face. This is based off of books that stack up to about this high. 90 fucking, like, you asked me when I'd be getting back, and I gave you a ballpark estimate that was an hour later than when I actually got back.
So like when I got your text, it's like, wow, that already?
Yeah, because I was just like, this has to be minimum 2 hours long. It's probably gonna be like 2.5, so I'm in here for the long haul. Over. Where's the kaboom? Where's the earth-shattering kaboom? Like, I was just like, this cannot be, like, literally when this film ends, I knew it was ending. Like, it was very obvious, like, it's the end of the film, but I was just sitting there, I was like, this can't be how it ends. Because this was boring as shit. Like, this is the thing that everybody loves. This is the thing that so many people were telling me is amazing. You butchered the crap out of it, because I don't give a shit about anything at the end of this. This was really just like, I mean, part of it is that, like I said, a lot of people are kind of flat, but the kid is just a plot device. So it's really just like, okay, the gunslinger and the man in black. Those are the two big forces going at each other. This has got to be fucking epic. And he's a gunslinger. His whole thing is he is an amazing shot. There's only two things he does in here that are really damn cool. And they're both in the trailer. Is that moment where he has to load his gun really quickly and just drops bullets in there like ding, 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 and loads it. Like, that's really fucking cool. And then the other one's where he kind of stops and like, bam, and it goes through like so many things and then hits the guy like when he's way away. It's like, yeah, that was fucking cool. There is a big blowout battle at the end of this in which he is taking out like all the Man in Black's henchmen, and he's just jumping around like from one balcony to another, just jumping in this building with all these stairs, taking out all these guys. And it is edited so horribly. Oh. Man, after I became a film critic, I learned bad editing is the Achilles heel of any movie. Like, I am not saying that that bad editing can ruin a great film, but it will bump great film down to good, and if your movie is already not that good, bad editing will turn it to crap. Like, bad editing is one of the worst things you can do in a film. Although I will say, this is the first time I've seen a film and went, oh, this has bad sound mixing. I've never said those words in my life ever before, but there are some people in here, like the kid, and again, this one could just be my theater. it could just have been my theater because they needed to turn up the brightness on this thing too. Like there's a moment where he's fighting a monster at night. I could not tell what that monster looked like at all because it was just so dim.
Maybe you should have seen it in 3D.
Oh god. I could just close my eyes and see what this thing would have been like in 3D. So yeah, this might just have been my theater. However, the kid sounded normal. But then there's other characters in here who sound like they're just like way off in the background. Like they sound like they only had one mic, so they put it on the kid and they were just hoping everybody else got picked up around him. But then Idris Elba and the Man in Black, the gunslinger and the Man in Black, I have to stop calling him by his actor name. The gunslinger and the Man in Black, they sound like they were ADR'd. Like they really sound like they just went, hey, we didn't pick up any of your audio. We have to come in and have you do it as a voiceover and just match it up. Because it's not like the voice doesn't match the lip reads. However, it sounds like both of those characters sound so much more crisp than anybody else in this movie. So by comparison, it sounds like a fucking announcer voice coming on. Like it sounds like they came in afterwards and recorded post dialogue that they didn't just overlaid over everything. But yeah, the editing in here is so bad, and it really got terrible at the moment when what was it? When he was having the big shootout blow thing. Because they are cutting, cut. It really did remind me of the editing in Iron Fist. Like, everybody talks about the editing in Iron Fist as an example of bad editing, because anytime that he had to do a fight scene, there would be like 30 cuts in 1 minute. Like, I think there were worse examples than that. I can't remember what the worst one was. I think it was like 50 cuts in a minute. And it's because not Idris Elba. Man, I just want to say Idris Elba's name. But it's because the guy playing Iron Fist, he just couldn't fight. He just didn't actually know Kung Fu. And Kung Fu is the one thing Iron Fist does. So they had to edit it crazily to make it look like he was doing stuff. Like, picture a fist, picture a face, picture a fist coming at face, picture up from other angle of this, picture from up here.
You couldn't even hire a stunt double?
God, maybe they didn't have the budget because that was cheap as hell too. But it's like, that's the thing. They really need to give Iron Fist in his next season his little wraparound mask thing, so that way you can hire a stunt double. But enough banging on Iron Fist. But it's like, yeah, the editing in that was awful, but it's because he didn't know Kung Fu. The editing for that is almost exactly the same in this big, massive blowout battle. But Idris Elba is not doing Kung Fu. He's not doing hand-to-hand fighting. He's doing this, bang, 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 bang. You don't need to edit like that. Like, they are just cutting non-stop. And I'm like, I honestly think that the people who edited this had seen so many other action films where they did that and thought, oh, that's just how action films are edited now. It's like, no, action films are edited like that when your star can't do action. When your star can't actually fight, they have to edit that way to make it look like that. Idris Elba is not fighting. He's shooting. Anybody can freaking do this.
He's not doing melee combat.
Yeah, exactly. He's a ranged fighter.
Yes.
So it's like, dude, there is no... I do not give a shit at this moment about this. Like, there is... I can't grab onto anything. Like, everything is just too jarring and just being slammed in my face during this moment. But then it gets to the big, massive, like, fight between him and the Man in Black, and it's like, oh, this is it. And the Man in Black, I haven't told you this, but, like, basically, he is a warlock, and he's just got, like, he can just tell someone, don't breathe, and they die from suffocation. He can basically just, like, emit flames from his hand that burn someone to a cinder. Like, he basically is almost God. He can just do anything he wants. Like, there is one moment where he is walking through New York City, and there's this little girl with an ice cream cone, and she's talking to her mom, and she's like, oh, and then this thing, and this thing, and the mom's like, oh, did that happen to you? Oh, that's so nice. And then he just walks by and goes, hate, and then keeps walking, and then the kid goes, and the audience burst out laughing. The audience could not contain themselves. But it's like, yeah, he just can, like, tell people, like, there's a moment in which he finds out that 2 people failed him, and he gets information from them and goes, oh, well, thank you. Kill each other. And then he walks away, and then, like, they start fighting, and people get up and he goes, don't run, enjoy the show. And then he keeps walking, and everybody just stands there still looking. I was like, so basically he's just got God powers. He can just tell people to do anything he wants, and he's got, like, telekinesis and pyrokinesis and all these other things. And so Idris Elba is like the one guy who's immune to his powers. So...
Is there a reason?
No.
I'm sure the reason is in the book.
Maybe.
One of the books.
I will say, this... It was in book 5. They're going to get to that eventually. No, it was in book 1, the one that they just skipped everything from. But I will say that this actually did make me interested in reading the books, because I'm like, man, they fucked this all up. What would it be like if it was good? But basically, there comes a moment where he now has the kid. He's got the kid. He's kidnapped him. He's got him hooked into the device. He's gonna fire his brain laser off, and the kid is fighting him. Is like, oh, he's resisting. How can he be resisting? He's fighting too hard. And then he goes up and he goes, give in to your hate. Yes, that's it. Fight. Yes, you cannot win. And then the kid just screams out, you killed my mom. And then he goes, yes, that's right. And then it shoots to the laser beam shooting off. I described what happens there. What you don't understand is it happens quicker than I said it. That's the editing and that's the pacing of this film. Just go. It's literally just, you cannot win. You will eventually give in. You killed my mom. Yes, that's it. Laser beam.
Wow.
You do realize that pausing can build tension.
Yes, this is a very important part in the story.
It's the main climactic moment.
Climax that you kind of need to build up some suspense.
And it was just nope, get it out there, go. But then why do I keep calling Idris Elba? But then the gunslinger comes up, and and it's the big shootout moment. It's the big, oh, it's going down. They're actually gonna fight each other. Oh snap, it is happening now. And Idris Elba is firing at him, and the Man in Black is just there there's a moment which he starts catching all the bullets, and it's that's kind of cool, but he's not moving at super speed, he's just very which again, it shows off the range of his power, so I get that. But then there's other moments where it cuts to, from Idris Elba, showing the Man in Black way down at the edge, and the Man in Black is sitting this, he's doing the crab stance and doing this, and okay, everything cool from that waist up shot you showed me a moment ago, show me those legs, it looks stupid. It looks fucking stupid. Or there'll be a moment in which Idris Elba then shoots the glass above him to try and get the glass to come down. It's oh, that's smart, he's using his mind, and he just stops the glass there, and then he just kind of starts firing the glass at Idris Elba, but it's just bam, 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 bam. It was it's just two guys just standing there. That's all this fight scene is.
Yeah.
It really is just blam, blam, blam. No. That's it. And then there's a moment which Idris Elba gets hurt from the glass coming down. So then he hides behind raptor. He hides behind a big pole. And he starts firing ricochet bullets. And I'm okay, so that's how he's gonna do. He's gonna take him out by ricocheting the bullets. And then you can just nope. Again, it's just this is the most powerful marksman in the universe, in the multiverse. This all-powerful wizard standing there. It's this is really one of the most lazy-ass, final fight scenes I've ever seen. This is a crappy final showdown. But he's firing ricocheting bullets to try and get him, and he's and then he has all this stuff fall on him. He's oh no, I'm out. And then the kid recites the gunslinger's oath of, I do not fire with my hand, I fire with my eye. He who fires with his hand.
So basically the entire thing in the trailer.
Yeah. The kid recites that to them, and then Idris Elba, while he's down on the ground, I remember the face of my father. Which, by the way, I don't get what the meaning behind any of this is. They don't explain what the meaning of it is at any point, so it's it doesn't mean anything to me. But then he's all right, I'm going to take him out. And here's the thing. The way that he takes him out, it's really kind of ingenious. If they had done it slightly differently. But the way that they do it, it makes no fucking sense. It's not physically possible to do it. And don't get me wrong, I know he has magic bullets. I know he can do amazing, incredible stuff with these bullets. However, the bullets do follow certain laws, the bullets always fire at the same speed. He can't slow down time on his bullets. And the way that he defeats him requires him to be able to affect the speed of his bullets, because what he does is he fires one bullet directly at the Man in Black. The Man in Black starts reaching for it. Then he fires another bullet at an angle. It hits a pole. It then comes in, hits the other bullet, and the bullets then split apart and then hit the Man in Black while he's trying to grab the one that was here. So the one bullet's coming here, The one comes in and hits it, and then splits those 2 bullets off, so they avoid his hand and he doesn't catch it. That's brilliant. Problem is, he didn't fire the one to the side that would go at the angle, i.e. the longer distance first. He fires the one that would go at the shorter distance first, then fires the one that would go the longer distance, and it's like, the one that you fired at the longer distance can't catch up to the one going at the shorter distance. If you had literally fired the one at the longer distance first, it could have worked. I would be willing to give you that. I would be willing to sit back here and go, well, I don't know if his reflex would be that fast. Like, he's the greatest gunslinger in the multiverse. He can do that. He can't affect the speed of his bullets. The thing that he uses to defeat him doesn't fucking work. It's kind of like Valerian from a few weeks ago, in which we said, there's really cool imaginative ideas in here, but because everybody in here is so uninteresting and the story is just kind of a jumbled mess, you can't help but sit there and think about the cool ideas, and the moment you think about the cool ideas, they don't fucking work. It's the exact same thing here at the end, except even if this was cool, I would still have to sit there and go, nah, man, you stopped the whole movie to show us the physics on this one, and it don't add up. The math does not add up on this one. So, yeah, man, this was tough. This was a tough one to get through. Actually, it wasn't like punishment. It was just more of like, what are you fucking doing? Like, it was literally like, it really was kind of like Valerian. It really was, because like I just sat there the whole time, just kind of being like, you really thought this was going to work? Like, none of this panned out, except that Valerian at least was really freaking imaginative and looked really damn cool. This one, I'm sure the books are really imaginative, but this story is just kind of like, all right, whatever. And I mean, literally the characters just move from one thing to the next, like, all right, whatever, we're doing this now. All right, we're going over here to this thing now. All right, this is happening now. And because, like, nobody really, like, has that much, like, draw in this film, like, nobody is really, like, grabbing you, and, like, the story itself is just kind of, like, whatever. And, like, there's nothing really imaginative or spectacular. I will admit, I dozed off for a couple minutes in here. Like, I checked my watch as soon as I woke up, and I was like, okay, I don't know what time I fell asleep, but it was only, like, it could only have been, like, 2-3 minutes. Like, we have not moved that far ahead in the story. But I wasn't sleepy when I went into this film. I got a good night's rest last night. Like, it's rare for me to get a good night's rest these days. Last night, I slept pretty darn well. And I just was like, oh God, gunslinger, what, face of my father. Okay, God, if I fall asleep in this movie, I forget the face of my father. Okay, no, okay, yeah, it was just really freaking kind of like, not painfully boring.
Just more like an endurance test?
Not even that. It was more just like, I don't care. Like, it never once got me to care about this. And the most it got me to care about was by showing me things that could be cool, but weren't. And I know I'm coming in real negatively on this film, but there's never anything, there's nothing in here I hate. There's nothing in here that I got enraged at. There's nothing in here that, like, I was like, you fools, how could you have ruined this? However, as I said, there were 30 people in that audience who were saying that afterwards, and they were fans of the book. So it's mostly just because I have no dog in this fight, but just judging it solely, I would give this, like, I'm not going to give the score now because I'll wait later to do that, but going by, like, the double toasted standard, which they have the best rating system in the world, it's a rental. It is a low rental. Like, don't go out there and try and find this, but if it comes on Netflix, and you've seen everything else on Netflix you want to watch, fuck it, just, yeah, go ahead, put it on. Like, maybe you'll dig some stuff in there. Maybe if you put the subtitles on, you can understand the slurs that Idris Elba is putting out there. Yeah, you might get some enjoyment of it. You might also, if you got some buddies over, you might be able to, like, laugh at it. But I can't recommend anybody going and seeing this in theaters, even if you're a big fan of the movies.
The books?
The books, sorry. Nobody's going to be a fan of the movies. Yeah, judging from that audience, I think the fans of the book should stay away from this. Like, that audience was a big warning sign to keep away if you are a fan of the books. Although the weird thing is, like, I'm really trying to think of, like, well, what did I like in this? What is the thing that's, like, making me go, well, you know, it's not that bad. And there really isn't anything, But that's just because it's a big oatmeal of a film. Like, it really is just a big, like, all right, whatever. Like, all right, fine. It's a thing that you put on in the background when you have to do other stuff. And every now and again, you'll stop and go, oh, this looks kind of interesting. Anyway, back to what I was doing. Like, yeah, it's one of those have on in the background kind of films. Yeah, the only reason why I can't be more negative on this film is because, like, there's nothing really to be that negative about. Because it's not like, yeah, the editing is bad, the sound editing is bad, everybody's kind of flat in the film, and the story is pretty jumbled. Wait a minute, wait. Maybe there is a lot of stuff to hate in this film. Oh, jeez. Am I changing my review right now? Oh, my God.
I feel like there's a lot of stuff bad with it, but it's like, you don't care,
Yeah,
so
exactly.
it's very meh.
That's the thing. I do a 10 worst movies of the year list every single year. I get mad at a lot of fucking films every single year. I wasn't mad at this. Like, there's bad stuff all throughout it.
But
it's
nothing
like,
rage-worthy.
But nothing that made me go, oh my God, just end already. More just like, so are we doing anything with this or not? Like, this is, all right, fine. I guess we'll do whatever. It's being at a dinner party and they come around with the tray of food and you look at it and it's like, I'll wait for the good stuff. Wait, that's everything we got? Fuck, all right, I don't eat this weird egg-shaped thing. What? So this is what I have to eat, huh? Fine, I'll eat. That's what it was. If you're forced to go and see this thing, it's food you don't want to eat, but you can eat it. That's what it is. It's not gross. It's just kind of like, well, I guess this will provide me enough sustenance to get by. Fine. But I'll just end on saying this. This is the one last thing that I kept forgetting to bring up. This to me is another key sign of how nobody on this film just cared about it. This doesn't even feel like a movie. It feels like a TV show. Like this is 90 minutes long. And if you add commercials to it, it would be 2 hours long. This really feels like the first 2 hour long season premiere special length episode of the Dark Tower TV series. Because where this movie ends, it ends with a gunslinger, this psychic kid, his mom is now dead, his dad died a long time ago, and he's like, well, you don't really have anything on this earth. I'm gonna come back here with me, gunslinger, and it just ends with the two of them walking into a building, and then you see a light flash inside, which is the big teleporter device that takes them to his world. And I was just like, that was the moment that was making me go, you can't in here. You can't in here. Not because I'm opposed to the kid becoming a gunslinger, not because I'm opposed to any of that, but just because I was like, you had a massive blood battle, you had the most powerful gunslinger in the multiverse fighting the most powerful wizard in the multiverse, you have this kid ascending to become a gunslinger, you have a tower being fired at by a mind laser, and it was so boring, and so just didn't feel like anything was happening, and I was like, you can't in here. Because I haven't gotten anything yet. You have to give me something. You have to give me something in this film. And no, there's really nothing. But if this was a TV show, and it was the first 2 hour premiere of a TV show, I'd be like, it's not bad. It is not bad at all. Like, you know what? The production budget for a TV show, this is about right for a TV show. This is what you would expect from a TV show. Okay, cool. And you know what? They adopted the kid, and now they're going back to their world. So now they're going to be in the cool world. Can't wait to see what's in the cool world after this. Oh, and who knows what other creatures they're going to run into. Kind of sucks that they killed your big villain in the first episode, but fine, whatever. All right, cool. You gotta find some cool other stuff in here. There is no TV show. It's not happening. This was a movie. It's a fucking bad movie. It's a bad movie. It's a decent TV show. Decent TV show equals bad movie.
No, but it's like, if this was a TV series, they would not have killed off the villain, so quickly.
Although I will say, this was another thing I forgot to bring up, he feels like a TV villain. He's supposed to be, in the trailers, they're like, he's worse than the devil himself. He fought and killed the devil himself and became double devil. And they're like, yeah, this is the guy who goes, don't breathe, and just instantly kills someone. He killed my father too. He really feels like Dr. Claw. He feels like the villain in an old Saturday morning cartoon show. If he just didn't kill people, he'd be the villain in an old Saturday morning cartoon show, because all he does is he just walks around yes, good. Good, you gave me that information.
I'll get you next time, gunslinger.
Yeah.
Next time.
Dude, and there is so there's so many moments in here where it's like he's got this whole organization that works around him. It's like, aren't you the fucking devil? And you have like tech support guys, like some people who work under him. They're just in like jeans and like a baggy t-shirt, and they're like at a computer. It's like, oh, I'm programming this mind laser for you, sir. And it's like, you look like you should be in like a fucking NBC show about technical support people. Like that's what you look like. Like you look like, what was that NBC spy show about the guy who like he was the like someone is yelling at me in the comments right now about but like some guy, he like absorbed information. He was like a Geek Squad guy. God, I cannot remember, but it was like, he looked like the villains in here, a lot of guys who are working on computers just kind of look like that guy. Like, just some big computer, like what a TV guy would think like a computer hacker would look like. That's kind of what they look like. And it's like, you're working for the fucking devil. Why do you just get lazy-ass t-shirts and button-up shirts and that you don't even button up? Like, God, the design on these villains is so just like, you just got regular... It feels like people showed up and they were just like, oh dude, we forgot this in the production budget. We forgot to get you costumes. Just wear what you're wearing. You're fine. That's what it looks like. It's like, you work for the fucking devil.
No, it was Casual Friday.
It was Casual Friday. There you go. But it's like, yeah, like, again, if this was a Saturday morning cartoon or just like a really lazy TV show and they had like a supervillain and they had henchmen who look like this, I'd be like, it's fine, whatever. But like he does other things that like just such cliche villain things. Like he finds out that like someone failed him and then he just grabs a random assistant, isn't connected to this at all, just grabs a random assistant and just goes, and just grabs their face and it goes, like burns them with flame and just staring ahead while they're like just screaming, and then he lets them go. Doesn't kill them, just wanted to burn something, just go, see, I am evil. It's like, dude, this is supposed to be like the ultimate bad guy of Stephen King's imagination. He is just, again, he's like a really shitty James Bond villain is what he is. He's like one of those like crappy like Pierce Brosnan James Bond villains. Yeah, this really did just feel like nobody working on it cared. And if someone did care, there were two other people with veto power to take what they cared away from them. So, yeah, man, if you are a fan of it, check it out when it comes on Netflix, just so that you can have that curiosity of yours satisfied, because I know you have that curiosity. When they make a shitty Spider-Man film, I'm always like, I know it's shitty, but I gotta fucking watch it because he's my guy. I gotta see what this is like. But wait till it comes on Netflix. And if you aren't a fan of it, again, wait till it comes on Netflix. Like, it is a put on in the fucking background so that you can occasionally go like, oh, I guess I know what's happening in this kind of thing. But yeah, it ain't worth going to the theater. But yeah, check us out here next time when, I'm sorry, I was about to say, check us out when we next review, and I was like, I don't know what the fuck comes out next. Anyway, yeah, we were actually, the summer movie season is winding down.
Yeah.
This is like the last big thing to come out. Jeez. Okay. So, I don't know. Check us out next week when...
something else comes up.
That comes up. But yeah, if you guys enjoy this and you want to see more spoiler talks like this and more reviews and any other geeky videos that we like to do, make sure that you click that subscribe button. And you can also follow me on Twitter, Twitch, and Tumblr at Professor Thorgy. And let me know in the comments what you thought of this film, or what it is that you like about the Dark Tower books, because I'm real curious about them now. Because I really like, it's one of those things where it's like, you'll watch this, I have to imagine it's the way that non-Green Lantern fans had to have felt if they watched the Green Lantern movie. It's like, this is terrible, but planet full of alien people with power rings, that could maybe be a cool thing. So yeah, I am curious about it, so let me know all your thoughts in the comments down below. But thank you guys for tuning in. Come back next time. Bye.
Bye.